And here we are again. What is happening? Mediocre folk, mediocre people of YouTube. What up? I'll give you a little sneak peek. Oh. I ain't gonna play it because I'm gonna do I've got some video editing I need to do. I'm tuning it, and I gotta set the intonation. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about, even though I can't keep my hands off of it. I watched today, again, there's a video on YouTube, and I'll put a link in the description. It is a video of Jason Newsted talking about why he left Metallica. You could probably just search, Jason Newsted and why he left Metallica, but I will put a link in the description. Because I wanted to talk to you guys. I've been wanting to make a video about Metallica for a long time. I'm the guy that made the EVH video that you didn't want to hear, I was just looking at these chords. I've got power chords here because, anyway, I'm the guy that made that video, talking about, I'm just real about the shit, The other day, somebody was, they mentioned they were listening to And Justice for All, which was a pretty good album. Although, and, for those of you who are just getting into Metallica, or have just discovered Metallica in the last 10 years, or have just discovered Metallica in the last 20 years, this may not be the video for you, or, unless you want to learn something. Because, Metallica, I'm old enough to remember when Metallica was new. And I'm talking brand new. We heard rumblings about this band Metallica. I was in junior high, I think. And already a huge Sabbath and Ozzy fan and all that. We heard rumblings about this band Metallica. And then when we heard No Life to Leather, or Kill 'Em All as you may know it, it was just like, holy shit, and then they had this bass player who, Jason Newsted, I'll quote Jason Newsted, was the Jimi Hendrix of bass playing. It was amazing, because listen, we had thrash metal bands around. There was DRI, MOD, there was a lot of bands like that with a 3-letter abbreviation. And they were thrash metal bands. There was a bunch of them and everything, but it wasn't, it was just thrash metal. And it was cool and everything like that, but when you heard a band, Metallica, which was kind of like thrash metal, but with some fucking talent, you had this fucking incredible lead guitar player, incredible bass player, we just said, Cliff Burton, and then this incredible lead guitar player in Kirk Hammett. And then, and everything was just, man, when I heard, like, the song Motor Breath for the first time, I was just like, wow. And I, right off the bat, I was like, wow, that's kind of like, I thought, like, putting it together, Motor Breath and Motorhead, and I was like, wow, these guys are inspired by Lemmy, Motorhead, but just incredibly hard. And, yeah, we were hooked instantly. And then, of course, Ride the Lightning came out, and it was just like, man, it got even better, and of course Master of Puppets, and those first 3 albums were just fucking nuts, and then of course Cliff Burton died in a bus accident, very tragic, and it was a horrible way to die, but I don't know if you don't know the story. Metallica's bus had flipped over, rolled over on the freeway or whatever, killing Cliff Burton, the Jimi Hendrix of bass, right? And so that was a bummer, but it wasn't like something we weren't used to. We lost Randy Rhoads, and this kind of thing seemed to happen more often, than too often back then. We were losing, incredible artists. You don't hear as much of it as today. Even when we got to the 1990s and losing Nirvana's Kurt Cobain, this was stuff we were used to growing up. It sucked. But so Cliff Burton died, and then we heard about this guy that was going to replace him, Jason Newsted, which instantly had credibility with me because he's a Michigan guy, right? And the album, well, the tour, I don't know if he even made an album before he toured. I think he went on tour before he even made an album with them, because I remember Ozzy and Metallica coming to Detroit, and that was on the Master of Puppets tour. And I don't believe Cliff was alive at that time. Maybe he was. Man, it was just so long ago. I can't remember. But anyway, then the album Justice for All came out. And we were like, huh. It was good. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a fantastic album. But it was almost like one of those things of what was to become, because I was in high school by this time, and we all loved it, but there was also a part of us, all of us, that were like, that sounds kind of weak. Can't stop playing with this guitar. Yeah, there was an element where it was just like, man, that's kind of weak. It was good, but it was weak. The song One, which was a fucking huge hit for Metallica. It really was the album that brought Metallica into the commercial aspect of everything. If you want to call it selling out, whatever. But again, and then you saw this guy, Bob Rock, who kept, getting involved, getting involved with bands, and in my opinion, fucking up bands. He's the one that fucked up Motley Crue. And he's the one that continues to fuck up Metallica till this day. Because I think Metallica could have had just as much commercial success without going the route they went. So, by the time, I think it was my, not junior year, I don't think, in high school. I think it was like 10th grade is when the Black Album came out. And, dude, it was just like so disappointing, I mean, you can't take away, definitely talented and all that kind of stuff, but for us diehard, we expected, it was like kind of like Justice for All, we kind of let slide, right? Because we thought, hey, they just lost Cliff and this and that, and there were some very, kind of heartfelt songs on there and everything, and not that they were about Cliff in any way, but it was kind of like, kind of like how we let Michael Jackson slide on the first Kid. We let Justice for All slide. When the Black Album came out, it was just like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. We were, expecting another Master of Puppets or another Ride the Lightning. Ride the Lightning is a fucking incredible album. And they just never came back, and worse yet, all the kids that were like the preppy kids, all of a sudden they're like, hey dude, what's up, man? Got some weed? Which we took advantage of. We sold them oregano, and it was great. But yeah, it really brought Metallica to the mainstream, which I think they could have made it to the mainstream without, God, I don't know if I want to say this, but I was just going to say destroying their music. Because, pretty much after Justice for All, and I know the Black Album well, but after that I could not tell you one song on any album of Metallica. I couldn't even tell you the fucking names of their album. I think one of them's Load, and I don't even know the names of them. I just, that was it for me. I never listened to any more Metallica after that. We just, my group of friends and the guys that, came up with the original lineup of Metallica, I mean, it was just fucking stupid. And then it became this big, franchise, which is, hey, I'm not against anybody making money. I'm really not. Whatever, that's cool with those guys. And, obviously Metallica is one of the biggest, if not the, maybe the largest grossing metal band of all time. Certainly right there with Ozzy Osbourne, if not, monetarily wise, even if not bigger than Ozzy Osbourne. And it was really a machine that went on and on and on. And I give those guys a lot of credit for the touring they did for years, man, just touring and touring and touring, which was great. And I saw several shows, but I didn't see any shows after. I don't even know if I went to the Black Album tour. I mean, that's how much it was just like it's kind of over with Metallica. But I really can't say enough good things about Jason Newsted. I mean, he seems to be like a really, well-grounded individual, very talented bass player. And I thought it was awfully shitty how things went down with him. Although, I mean, he doesn't seem to, harbor any hard feelings or anything about it, which is cool. I think it's great. The way Jason speaks about, his departure from Metallica. I don't blame him for leaving Metallica. I mean, he once said in an interview, and I don't think it's in the interview that I've got a link to the description in, but he once said that, James and Kurt and Lars, they all have wives and children, and Jason decided not to have children. And like he said, my songs are my children, my music is my children. Not taking anything away from those guys for having kids or anything, but, Jason said, he sacrificed that because, that's how important playing music is to him. And I just thought that was a pretty cool, incredible thing to say. And I give Jason a lot of credit, for who he seems to be today. How that whole thing went down when he had his Echo Brain project. Now, we're going back now 20 years again, I mean, this stuff seems like yesterday to me, but, this is 20 years ago this happened. And James was just, and their management thought his project was so good that they were like, hey, we think we want to put you on tour with Metallica, perhaps an opening act with your band and you playing in it, and then, you go on stage with Metallica afterwards. And, James Hetfield was having nothing to do with that. He did not he basically told Jason, hey, this whole Echo Brain project and everything, do you plan to, just keep with it and this and that, and are you going to be selling t-shirts too? And Jason's like, well, yeah, and he's like, well, then you need to make a choice, basically. And the thing of it is Jason went out of his way his entire career to make sure, the things that he was doing were not interfering with Metallica. When it was time to go with the guys, it was time to go. He dropped his project and he went, Metallica was certainly his first priority at all times. And, but that even wasn't good enough for James. And I think James Hetfield's a fucking control freak. As a matter of fact, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I think James Hetfield's a fucking dickhead, along with Lars. I think Kurt seems like a pretty grounded guy. But, I mean, James and Lars have just become fucking morons, it seems like, I mean, they're just too big for their britches or whatever. Of course, they hired Robert Trujillo, who is another just absolutely incredible. They got so lucky, man. That Robert Trujillo is also an amazing bass player. I was introduced to him when he was with Ozzy, and man, his stage antics and everything are just fucking awesome. And he's a slamming bass player. Of course, Metallica hired him, and great bass player. And right off the bat, I mean, they were like. There was a movie, Some Kind of Monster, I think it was, and they filmed where, I don't know if it was real or not, but they said, look, we're going to give you $1 million as a retainer, and he's seemed to fit into that band very well. Like I said, I don't listen to him. I do catch some stuff on YouTube. When I do, it's usually the live stuff. And again, Robert Trujillo's his stage antics are just awesome, which he was told in the Ozzy Osbourne band to, tone it down because this is Ozzy's show and it's about Ozzy. But Ozzy, we used to play with him and everything, and he would get all freaky with his bass on stage. I think Ozzy thought it was cool, but you know how that goes with Sharona. But yeah, you know, the Metallica machine just turned into, you know, even Jason said when he came into the meeting and he was talking with Lars and they were literally crying because this was like a divorce for them. Jason was leaving, you know. It was like he said, Lars was crying, he was crying, and you know, they're like, "You're really gonna leave?" And then they said the management came in and they were just like, "Okay, what's going on?" Really, he couldn't change his mind. Okay, well, listen, we got VH1 on this day, we got this on this day. And I guess even Lars got pissed off at the management and said, "Are you fucking kidding me? You know, I really don't feel like discussing business right now, you know? I mean, they're basically going through a divorce, and I mean, you gotta believe there's gotta be a lot of emotion, you know, after them losing Cliff the way they did, and now Jason was leaving. And again, there was that movie, and I'm pretty sure it was called Some Kind of Monster, which I watched. And there was some pretty heavy shit in there, you know? I mean, it was like, wow. I mean, just crazy. The machine that Metallica became is something I think a lot of us diehards, not diehards, a lot of us who have been there since the beginning of Metallica, we didn't jump on that train, you know? They had a whole new fan base at their concerts and stuff, you know? It wasn't the guys that were with them from the beginning who built that, you know, us fans, we built all these bands, you know? If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't be there. And you know, pretty much the Black Album, you know, it started in and Justice for All, and the Black Album put the seal on it, and it, like I said, it was kind of a whole new fan base. Now, don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of guys that have stuck around and been there from the beginning and stayed with them and supported them all the way through, but there's also, you know, a lot of guys like me who just, you know, was like, all right, you know, Metallica's over, you know, find something different. Yeah, so there's my Metallica review. Yeah, there's my little review and get off my chest about Metallica thing. You know, I wasn't one of those people who got into Slayer. I wish I would have because I liked the band. I never got into Slayer for some reason. But anyway, it's coming. I gotta edit the video of putting the finishing touches on it right now. I just gotta set the intonation and put the locks on the nut and finish the video, of course. And it's coming. So that's the Antonio Zai Strat, I guess you call it. Antonio Zai Strat, that's the name of the builder. Yeah, so that's coming. So you guys tell me what you think about Metallica. You know, if you guys were one of those guys that was like me, you know, there from the, you know, the very beginning where you were hearing this rumblings about this band Metallica, and then, you know, maybe you heard the album Ride the Lightning, and just, you know, it was one of those bands that changed everything, you know. I mean, if there wasn't a Metallica, there would be no Korn, there would be no a lot of bands, you know, if it wasn't for Metallica. And I'm not comparing and everything else with the Korn and Metallica. I'm not trying to get into comparisons here. I'm just saying there would be no other bands like that if it hadn't been for Metallica. So you guys tell me what you think. And yeah, that's where I'm at. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I can't wait to get this Strat finished. Peace.